Welcome back to the Red Zone Podcast. I'm Camden Wisdom, and this is Finney and McGuire. We welcome you back today. We talk about the upcoming games first off in this podcast. I'm just going to go ahead and go down the list. We got the Ravens at the Broncos. We've got the Lions at Packers, Cowboys at Atlanta playing the Falcons, Colts at Vikings, and Texans versus the Jets. So Ravens versus Broncos, I'm going to go ahead and give my pick. I'm honestly going to go with the Broncos. I think the Ravens kind of suck this year. What's yours, Finian?
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty close because Browns with Jameis Winston just beat the Ravens, and they were doing really good these past few weeks. But the Broncos have been really good. I think I'm going to have to go with the Ravens at home, but I think it'll be very close.
Okay. The second game, we're going to go with the Lions and Packers. Honestly, I'm going to go with the Lions. They're a powerhouse this year. Sucks that Aiden Hutchinson's out, but I'm going to go with the Lions. I think they're a pretty good football team. Packers are good, but I think the Lions have a bigger team and more built team than the Packers do.
It's at Lambeau, ain't it? Okay. So, last time Packers played at home was against the Texans. They won on a game-winning field goal. Home field advantage is huge there. And I think I'm actually going to go with the Packers. Even though they barely just won against the Jaguars are a pretty good team. They just lost like every game because their coach is terrible. But I think the Packers' home field advantage will carry them, and I think they're going to win against the Lions. It'll probably be one of the games of the year.
For sure. Next, the Colts versus Vikings. Honestly, I haven't seen the Colts all year. I don't know if they're any good. I do know that they just benched their starting quarterback. He was like a fifth round. I don't know what his name was, but they just benched him, and they're starting Flacco, I think. Yeah. So I honestly, I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think the Vikings are pretty good this year. So Colts versus Vikings, my pick will be the Vikings.
I'm going to disagree again. I think it is at Minnesota, which they got pretty good home field advantage. But I think Joe Flacco has played 2 games this year. He has like 600 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, like 2 picks. So I think he's going to be really good. And I think they're going to win because they need this win. They're 500 right now. They're 4-4. So if they don't win this, then they might be going pretty down in their division because the Texans are very good. And the Jaguars can climb back up because they just showed last week that they can come back, even though they have like 6 losses on the season already. But I think it'll be a good game.
Next, we got the Dallas Cowboys at the Atlanta Falcons. I'm a Cowboys fan. I know Finian's a Cowboys fan. With the looks of it, the Falcons are going to win. We played pretty good last week against the 49ers. So, honestly, I think I'm going to go with Dallas. I think that's a bold choice, honestly, because we're not very good this year. But Micah Parsons and Deron Bland are coming back on defense. That'll help us out a little bit. And I think the offense has kind of figured out a little bit in Dallas. We looked a lot more like the normal Dallas Cowboys with Dalvin Cook as a running back whenever we played the Niners. And I know the Niners aren't the crop of the top, but they're still a pretty good football team, and they can put together a game no matter what. So my pick is the Cowboys over the Falcons.
I think this game is very interesting because it is at Atlanta, but the Falcons, I don't think they're that good at home this year. But the Cowboys are pretty decent away. They almost won against the Niners. I think they honestly should have. They had 3 minutes, no timeouts, but they just went 3 and out and choked. I think I might go with the Falcons, though, because Kirk Cousins had 4 touchdowns for the second time against the Buccaneers this year, which he is just going insane. And it was at the Buccaneers, too. So I think I'm going to go safe here and go with the Falcons. But the Cowboys might go in there and upset them because the Cowboys really need this win. If they're going to win this game, they have to win this game if they're going to stay in the division.
All right, Monday Night Football. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City's good, but man, They are the worst undefeated football team I've ever seen. The worst stats by Patrick Mahomes. Everyone talks him up, and I'm not going to be the guy to do it. Patrick Mahomes is not that good this year. Kansas City is not that good this year. Yeah, they've won, but they haven't put together an entire game. So I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think that Kansas City deserves this win. They don't deserve to be 7-0, I believe. And yeah, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I respect Patrick Mahomes and all them. But I don't think that everything that they have going on in Kansas City is worth 7-0. I just don't feel like it. With all the injuries and stuff like that, Mahomes' stats have been the worst they've ever been. So I'm going to go with the Buccaneers.
I'm going to have to agree with you because even though it's at home, Chiefs got a great home field advantage this season and like past few years. But Buccaneers coming off a loss, they're currently 4-5, and they have to win this game. Mm-hmm. And if they don't win this game, that means they'll have a 5-game losing streak, which is terrible for a team. Mm-hmm. Even though they don't got their two top tier receivers, I think they could still come away with a win, and the Chiefs showed last week that they can lose to anybody, and the Raiders almost just upset them. So I think they'll be pretty good. I think I'm going to go with the Buccaneers here, though.
And now to our last two questions. First up, can the Jets keep their season alive? They started out strong with Aaron Rodgers. They got Devontae Adams now, wide receiver. I honestly don't think the Jets – I think they're getting there. They're getting to the point where they're going to be good. But I think what the problem is they don't have the players yet. I think it's one of those things it takes forever to build a football team to become good. It's just like the Dallas Cowboys. It takes a while to build a good football team. When you have a new offensive coordinator, they just fired, Robert Saleh a couple weeks ago. So it's like stuff's happening in New York. So I think, honestly, I think the Jets will be good in the later future, just not this year. I don't think this is their year. Next year, I think they'll be better, but I think they need to kind of search somewhere other than Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's the answer at quarterback. I don't think that was their issue, honestly. They were better with Zach Wilson. So if I was them, I would search for a different quarterback. I wouldn't take Zach Wilson, and I wouldn't take Aaron Rodgers either. So me personally, I don't think that this year is the Jets' year.
If they're going to revive their season, they have to win every single game unless they lose one game and somehow get in the playoffs. But if Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams can put up like a legacy year or something, I really do not think it's going to happen. Because they just lost last week. They choked against the Jacoby Brissett-led Patriots in the last 2 minutes. Pretty sad. I think that they're not going to be able to revive their season. If Rodgers can stay one more year, or if they could sign someone like Flacco or just somebody good, like if they trade for Derek Carr next year, they might be in it. I don't know. But adding Devontae might not solve all your problems, but they got a pretty decent structure of a team, so I wouldn't count them out for next year.
And to send everybody off, the final question, this will make you guys think for a while. The Chiefs, they are the worst 7-0 football team in NFL history. I know that we just talked about this with the Buccaneers, but I honestly, they've got a good coaching staff, they've got good football players, but the injuries have hurt them. Injuries have hurt a lot of football teams, not just Kansas City, so I'm not going to throw them down because of that. But I think people are starting to figure out what Kansas City's game plan is. And I think that, these people are starting to figure it out. And Kansas City's, they figured out how to win the football game. Okay, that's cool. But at the same time, they used to just come in and beat a team from the start. Now they can't even do that. The Raiders staying tied up with you, playing like they did against the Raiders, that was uncalled for. Should have lost to the Raiders. They should have lost the week before. They should have lost to the 49ers. But stuff like that is going to make Kansas City lose because if you're not good in the end stretch, you are not going to win the Super Bowl. And if that's what they want, they're not going to do it because they won't beat Detroit because Detroit is going to be probably the team to go all the way this year because they're good. They're the best in the NFC. They're probably the best in the NFL, actually. And I don't think that Kansas City's got it. One, they're not going to be able to play from behind against Detroit because Detroit's got a whole team. They don't have injuries. They don't. I mean, yeah, they're missing Aiden Hutchinson, but that's it. Yeah. So it's like, Kansas City can't play from behind in those games. There's no way. They never have been able to. When they got down the last time they played in a Super Bowl against Tampa Bay and Tom Brady, they lost. So I think it's just one of those deals that I don't think Kansas City's going to get it this year. Will they go to the Super Bowl? Probably. They're probably good enough, in the AFC to go. But I don't think they have, enough to win it all. There's no way.
They are a weird football team. They have weeks that are like picture perfect, but like last week, I get that it was away, but it was like Patrick Mahomes' revenge game because
Yep.
the Kermit the Frog thing in the offseason, I don't know if any of you guys saw that, but they had like a puppet and they were using that for motivation and practice during the offseason, which I think is pretty funny, but Chiefs are still 7-0 at the end of the day. They're sitting good right now. If they can resolve all their problems by postseason, they'd be amazing. Yeah. But Baltimore is still clicking up. I think Baltimore plays better in the when they play better teams, but whenever they play teams like the Browns in their division, they might choke it a few times. Yeah. But there are a lot of strong teams in the NFL, and I do not think the Chiefs are up there right now. Like they're up there, but like only when they play good.
I agree.
This episode was sponsored by
Prairie Farms. Make sure you drink chocolate milk. I have me a half gallon right here. Stuff's pretty freaking good. Test it out. Tyler would have his bug juice, but he's over here filming for us. So thank you, Tyler, for filming. Thank you, Finian. Thank you guys so much for watching today. This is the Red Zone Podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it today. The questions were pretty good, I think. I think we did pretty good. The NFL is a tough, organization, a tough league. Different things can happen week in and week out. It's just like high school football. Any team can win on any given week. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.